Shut up and sit down.
By all means, go for it. Have fun. Just leave me alone.
People are coming together more and more and more and more as the government has been failing us more and more.
I'm against being shitty to people.
You can't research your way into understanding somebody.
One way or another, I'd rather have the fight now.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Fight for Liberty show. Tonight, we have an awesome show for you guys. Somebody that I have been excited to talk to for a while, a rising star in the Liberty podcasting world. But before we get to him, I want to tell you guys about a new product from my friends over at nugofknowledge.com. We talk about them almost every show. I'm going to talk about them again because we have this awesome new Canna-Bee Rescue Blend CBD honey. It is 100% natural, organic honey. It mixed with CBD, so it's a perfect way to get your medicine into some delicious snacks, whether you're putting it in your tea or your coffee or whatever, putting it on some toast. It's a great way to add that relaxing medicine into your day. As always, if you use promo code UNITE, you can get 10% off your first purchase and help support the guys over at FSM like myself, and we would really appreciate that. So again, go on over to nugofknowledge.com, use promo code UNITE, and get to relaxing. But now, the moment you guys have all been waiting for, the person you actually came here to see. He is the host of the Cajun Libertarian, co-host of the Cajun and Eskimo show from Bayous to Igloos on Muddied Waters Media. My friend, Noel, welcome to the show.
What's up, my friend? How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you. Very excited to be here. I love what you got going on and amazing show. I just saw your intro. Wow. Freaking
thank you.
Stars.
I had a lot of fun making that intro. Just going back through some of those old episodes. It was a good time.
Yeah, I can imagine. I need to learn how to do that. So maybe we need to sit down together and do some cutting and editing.
Oh my gosh, that took me that 35-second intro literally took me an entire weekend. I'm so bad at video editing, but I sat there and I just had an ADHD tunnel vision moment and just went crazy. I didn't get up from my chair for 6 hours, just completely worked through lunch and forgot to eat. It was a good time.
Yeah, I feel that on so many levels.
Mm-hmm.
So many levels. Yeah. Good intro video. A lot of people in there. You actually gave me a bunch of ideas to find out who I need to invite on the show next.
Well, there you go. Yeah. So yeah, it's been a good time so far. I'm loving the show, and I'm glad to have you on.
Yeah, I'm super excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I always like to start off the show with a little bit of your kind of liberty testimony. So I'm curious, when was the first time that you heard the term libertarian, and was it in a positive or a negative context?
Okay, that's actually a great question. The first time I heard libertarian was probably a while back, and I heard it in a neutral manner. I did not hear it in a positive or negative. It was just as I got into politics and started exploring opportunities, that party rose up. I mean, obviously, we are the third largest party. So when you're exploring outside of the duopoly, the first thing that's going to come to your mind is libertarian, and then Green Party and Constitutionalist Party, a lot of traditional standing parties, but that's where literally it was very neutral. Okay, so what is this? And then I started going down that rabbit hole, and then it doesn't take us long, right? Once we come to a certain spot, we see, okay, look, this is something I can get behind. We are obviously failing in our governmental society, I guess, if that's the right terminology. We're failing there big time. And so I need another option, and landed at the Libertarian Party. It was a very neutral understanding, and it was just easy to find, easy to agree with.
That's awesome. That's a pretty rare story. I feel like
Mhm.
I don't know a whole lot of people that were just like, oh, let's go look around at some politics and just kind of stumbled upon us. That's actually really cool. I learned an interesting tidbit to my libertarian testimony that just makes it so much funnier to me. I was talking to my dad the other day because he was the person that actually told me about Gary Johnson during the 2016 election. And he told me that he was getting so annoyed with me complaining about Trump and Clinton and Sanders that he just told me about this other person that he thought I would like to shut me up.
That's nice.
Didn't work so well for him because now I don't shut up about politics ever, and it's my entire life. So thanks, Dad. Good job.
Yeah. Okay, so let me give you an interesting story that I've told several people, but I don't know how many people know. I was raised in a very Christian conservative household, and I'm still very Christian. I have some conservative values, not in the sense that we know conservatism in 2021, but in the more way back conservatism. But I was never raised Republican. And that throws a lot of people off, right? Because you automatically want to link, oh my God, Christian conservative, absolute, diehard Republican, GOP. No. My parents are both, they're both, of course, they're divorced, and they've been divorced since I was 2. Both are conservatives, both are Christian, both are constitutionalists more at their core than they are anything else, but they're not Republican. They will vote whoever they believe to be the best party, to be the best member, specifically on local levels. And so I think a lot of that translated to my transition into the Libertarian Party. It was a very easy transition. I didn't have to fight a bunch of mental hurdles that a lot of us have to deal with throughout life, being raised Democrat or being raised Republican. I didn't have to fight that because my parents didn't raise me Republican. I was raised in more of an ideology than a political party worship setting. And that's very important because I think that's what we fight more than anything else today, is not that we're fighting ideology, but that we're fighting a new religion, and that's government worship. I'm probably ranting a little bit here, but I'm very passionate about this because I feel like it's very odd to be raised into that environment, but not raised Republican or not raised Democrat if you're on the opposite side of the aisle. And so that libertarian was very easy to fall into. My dad, who's a staunch blue all the way, blue guy, not blue. Sorry, I'm Blue Lives Matter. I was not trying to say that, right? He's a very staunch cop supporter.
Yeah.
But he did not vote for Trump in 2016. He voted for the Constitutionalists. My mom voted for Trump twice, but she was never like, and still to this day is like, yeah, I mean, I like a lot of what he does, but he's all right, I guess.
She's not one of the crazy ones.
No, not at all. She watches almost all my shows. She asks questions big time. We've gotten, and I don't want to get too far off in the rabbit, or you tell me what to do. You know, this is your
Go
house.
for it. Go for it.
We got into a conversation a couple of weeks ago about anarchism.
I'm curious.
Yeah. We, as a very staunch conservative, we got into that. Conversation about anarchism, and I was honestly surprised by when we started that conversation. I immediately wanted to say, anarchy is not what's portrayed on MSM, but she beat me to it. And I'm like, well, damn. What am I going to explain to you right now? And we did get into a lot of it, but she automatically knew, number one, anarchy is not complete chaos with a bunch of idiots running around burning down buildings. That is not anarchism at all. And she knew that right out the gate. So I was very impressed with that. I don't know why my mom's very sharp. But, you know, in our world, the duopoly world, that's, you know, you expect the answer of, you talk to anarchists, you consider anarchy on any level at all. That's just chaos. I'm like, nope. No, it's not. But I didn't have to go down that. What I had to go down was the respecting of individual rights on a moral basis versus being enforced by coercion and government with a gun in your face. And so that was a very interesting conversation that I had with her. This happened literally just a couple of weeks ago, and I was very excited. We ended the conversation with, there's some things that she's just not going to be on board with, and that's okay. That's fine. The fact of the matter is that I was raised in a household that's very open-minded. My dad's very, very strict constitutionalist, very pro-cop, but he's also pro-sex work. Even as a Christian, he's also pro-cannabis decriminalization or legalization. So I grew up, I think, in a very odd paradigm. My dad and I still fight all the time about politics because we just knock heads. But I want people to hear that there are still boomers out there, and I don't mean that in a derogatory sense. I mean that in the actual definitive sense of their age range. That not every boomer is like that, even if they are. At this point, like Trump was one of the best presidents ever, even though he didn't vote for him in 2016. He's still a very pro-Trump guy. He's still a very pro-cop guy, but he's still very pro-libertarian. And it's just kind of a weird paradigm to live in.
Yeah, I feel like I was raised fairly similarly. I was raised to respect the government and taxes because that's the law, but avoid cops.
We may have lost David. His Wi-Fi sucks. There he is. And he's gone again. David, I don't know if I can hear you, but I cannot. You are froze up. You're actually in a very good screen right now. It's a perfect shot for a screenshot. So I'm going to go ahead and take this really quick. We're going to do it like this. Oh, and he's gone. And he's back.
There we go. All right. You almost had to run my show like Nick had to run yours.
Yeah, pretty much.
Every fucking time. But yeah, Jesus Christ. What I was saying was, they raised me to respect but avoid government. Like whether it's cops or taxes or whatever, we respect the troops. We march in the Memorial Day parade. We nod to cops when we walk by them and they're heroes. But, if you can avoid interacting with a cop, that's probably best. You don't call the cops right away. I mean, we got our house broken into once when I was probably 13 or 14. We're out to dinner, came home, and the front door was open, and nothing was really missing. We think that they were there. Like when we drove in, we kind of scared them off because the back door was open too. So we think that they didn't have a chance to really grab anything. But we didn't call the fucking cops. Nothing was really missing. A bunch of my friends would have still called the cops and just to alert the police that there was someone in the area that was thinking about doing a crime. But we didn't consider ourselves victims, so therefore we didn't consider there to be a crime. And there were no police involved. And so I was raised, I feel very similarly. And I'm proud to say that both of my parents and my sister voted for Gary, Larry Sharp, and then Joe Jorgensen. So nice. I turned all three of them.
Nice. That's awesome. No, I could not sway them into voting Dr. Joe Jorgensen in the past election. They did fall in the trap of this is the greatest election of our lifetime. And to everyone that falls into that, honestly, I believe this to be an almost 100% fact. We're living a life of propaganda, right? We've been red pilled, and apparently that's too cliche of a term, and I guess too relative towards or quote unquote relative towards the Republican Party. That's not what we mean. Red pill is waking up to the nonsense, and so it's a little bit easier for us to move on through some of that propaganda. Some people just have a harder time with it. I really looked at them as victims at this point.
Yeah, yeah, and it it's a better way to look at it, because then you're not hating people for having these opinions, which is how I feel like a lot of people, even libertarians, fall into the trap of like, we get really agitated, and I do it too. This is completely hypocritical rant I'm about to go on, but we're really agitated when people just don't get it. And I was having a conversation with a guy about 2 weeks ago where he said, we were talking about the possibility of a Fed infiltration in the LP. And he literally said that the U.S. intelligence apparatus doesn't interfere at all in domestic elections or politics because there's laws against that.
Yeah, I mean, how do you respond to that without telling them they're flat out wrong?
Right.
I mean, we could cite many cases where that's just wrong.
Right. It's just like you're really. What do you mean there's laws against that? You think the feds don't break the laws? Like
every day.
What? Yeah, and I was just kind of dumbfounded. And so, when you get into situations like that, it's really hard to not just like snap at them and just be like, you fucking blue-pilled motherfucker, you just wake the fuck up, like, get your ass out of, like, just get your shit together. Like, how have you not been paying attention? You're 30-something years old and you haven't seen this yet. And I like, it's really easy to just unleash. But you're right, they're a victim of some really heavy brainwashing that we all went through.
Yep. Intentionally.
Yeah.
Sorry, go
ahead. Yeah, I've just talking to people the last couple of years about some of the really some of the more awful stories about the Tulsa massacre or like the bombing in Philadelphia, the MOVE school, like Tuskegee experiments, like those kinds of stories. And it's crazy how many grown fucking adults, even people that have been like active in politics or considered themselves history buffs or history nerds, or I myself, like, I aced history. I've never gotten less than an A in history all through high school, college, everything. Like, I fucking love history. It was my favorite subject. And I still didn't know about any of that shit until after I was out of school. And it's really fucking concerning.
Yeah, and concerning on a level that should, I would hope, make everyone question whether or not they should send their children to public school, because we will not. And there's a reason for that. And really, quite what you just said, David, is a reason for that, because you're getting fed a lot of propaganda that is not going to be taught historically correct. It's not historically accurate. And the reason that is taught inaccurately is to push a certain propaganda. I just keep using that word. I'm trying to avoid that word, but I can't get away from it.
It's the best word for it. Yeah, and I was even homeschooled, but the curriculum that I used was for the majority of like high school. Actually, the two curriculums took up the majority of my schooling. Both of them were written in Florida, fairly like Christian conservative curriculum. So, I was like, how you do like the diagrams in English class where you have to like put the sentences on all the weird lines in the weird shape. Yeah. Like, I was doing that with Bible verses in English class, because like that's the kind of like curriculum that I use. So it was exceptionally patriotic. And the one piece of that curriculum that was kind of cool, and I'm sure you can actually identify with this, is the learning about the Civil War.
Yeah.
Because like, I'm from New York, so all the entire culture around that was like we won, right? Like you just think about that, like America won, but in the North it's doubly true. It's like we won, like that was a war that we won, and it's completely different coming from a place where they're like patriotic and American, and so they still teach like we won, like the Union won, but technically wasn't them. And it was the only kind of perspective shift that I got from being homeschooled was having a Southern curriculum teaching about that. Everything else was pretty much kind of run of the mill, omissions of all of the important pieces of history. I didn't learn about Waco. I didn't learn about Ruby Ridge. I didn't learn about any of that shit.
Yeah, of course not. They're not going to put that in the curriculum. So that falls on the parents. And again, that's why it's, for me personally, it's very important that whatever content that you want pushed to your children, whatever, dare I say, narrative, which I would hope that if we're falling under the libertarian umbrella of ideologies, would be the factual and honest umbrella, the correct narratives, the actual truth. A lot of that needs to be taught by the parents. There's no better way to do that. Even if your kids are in public school, it's still our job. I got 3 kids. It's still my job that I teach them the actual way, right? The actual truth and the facts of what it is that our government has done. And that's not me pushing politicization to my children. That's me making sure that they understand the culture and the environment that they live in. So I want to make that clear. It's not going to fall on the fact that I want my kids to vote libertarian or vote at all, because I'm not a voter. I voted twice in my life. Once for George W. Bush when I was 18, because that's what my parents did. And right? I was embarrassed to say that, but I feel like I'm pretty okay. I'm like not culpable for that decision.
Yeah. I voted for Chuck Schumer in my first election, so
there we go.
Don't worry. And that was with Gary. Like I was a registered libertarian and still was stupid enough to vote Chuck Schumer.
Oof, and that guy's still running. He's still ticking. Yeah, the second time I ever voted in my life was Joe Jorgensen and Spike Owen. And so I'm not a voter. If you don't want to vote, let me say this real quick. I am a veteran. I am what I would consider patriotic in the sense, in definition of the term that I believe to be true. Your right to vote is your right to make that decision. It's not about people died for you so that you could vote. No, people died, and this country has gone through significant growing pains for the freedom that we used to have and the limited freedom that we have now, so that you have a choice. You don't have to vote. I don't co-sign somebody I don't believe in. And when the next election comes around in 2022, I will vote for the people that I actually believe in. That I put a lot of honor in co-signing my name to someone else that is going to pass legislation on the other citizens, brothers and sisters that live in my community. That's a very important thing to me. If I don't believe in them, then I'm not going to go vote. That's me. You do what you want.
Yeah. That reminds me of that. There was a cartoon that went viral for a couple of years where, it was a teacher in a classroom and everyone's standing and with like their hand over their heart, and one kid's like sitting down with his feet up on the desk, and there's a vet in a wheelchair, and the teacher says, it's fine if you don't want to stand, but let me introduce you to someone who can't, because he was fighting for your right to stand. And like that went viral for, like, I saw that go around quite a while until there was another one that came out with a second like picture of it where the vet answers and was like, actually, I can't stand for his right to not stand. That's right. And yeah, it's like I wasn't in the military, but my entire family was. I'm like the first male in like 8 generations to not go into the military. Wow. And so I grew up like very like, like I said, marched in all the Memorial Day parades. Like I used to try my dad's Marine uniform on all the time, and like was completely gung ho to go do that thing. And then thank God realized I didn't want to do that. And
yeah, I would strongly advise anybody that's watching the show right now that's considering joining the 2021 United States military, don't.
Yeah.
Don't.
Yeah, I was talking to my dad about that today, actually, because there was a part of me, especially probably like 2 or 3 years ago, where I was really regretting having not gone in, because I was, I'm I have very bad like self-discipline skills, and I haven't had like the best workout regimen since I got out of high school, and like there's just a lot of things of my life where there's not structure, where there would have been had I gone into the military and gone out and gotten out, and like a lot of my friends went in and are now out, and there's just like a culture of self-discipline that you can't avoid being ingrained into you if you go into the military, that I just avoided, and I have not had, and it's one of my least favorite things about myself. So there was a chunk of time there where I was like, I should have gone in, and actually considered going in at like 21 when I finished running for city council. I was like, maybe I'll go into the Marines, and then life happened, and I avoided that decision, and I'm still very thankful for that.
Yeah, thank God, because you're not walking into the military that we used to have. And I don't even look, I'm just going by the history that I believe the military that we used to have, which is probably very swayed. All I can tell you is the military that I was in. And I enjoyed very much. I did. I enjoyed it a lot on certain levels. On other levels, it still had a very damaging effect, and probably on a lifelong scale. But that's where we're at. And so I would strongly, I don't want to go too far off into that. I'll get you banned. But I'm just kidding.
Oh, I mean, I had Shane Hazel on here a couple weeks ago. So he went on the murder cult rant for a good 10, 15 minutes. It was great.
Yeah. So, well, good. No need to beat that drum again. Shane probably knows more than I. I saw that he was a Marine Corps vet. I was a Navy corpsman. So for those of you that don't know, the Marine Corps do not have their own medical personnel. The Navy provides it for them, and we're called corpsmen. And that was the division that I decided to go into, was to go hang out with the Marine Corps, wear a Marine Corps uniform and all that. And I absolutely loved it. I thought it was great. There were certain elements that I could take away a lifetime and be grateful for, and the camaraderie, the discipline, certain things of that nature. I'd say most of it probably not so much. But if I can, I would like to answer this question real quick, and then we can go back to whatever you want to do. Perla says, does your dad agree with Q? No.
I think that's QI. So I'm thinking qualified immunity.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought he was talking about Q, or she was talking about Q. Yeah, I can't get him to move off of QI. I've tried. This is a dead subject at this point. I've tried desperately. He's got cops that are like super good friends. And
Yeah,
I can't.
Yeah, that was a tough one for me too. Growing up, my best friend's dad was a cop, and that person's best friend was one of my closest mentors, and he was also a cop. And so growing up, like I was really pro police, and like just because the cops in my hometown, I thought were all good guys, and I knew like half the police department, and we actually had a pretty decent sized police department in my hometown, even though it's really small. Which is one of the reasons why I hate cops now, is because it's an over policed like little white trash town. And the moment where it really shifted for me was I went to court knowing that I had a warrant out because I had missed my court date like the week prior, but I had called the court, and they said, if you just come in, we'll just put you in, won't be a thing. You show up, obviously we're not going to like come get you on this warrant. So I was like, okay. So I showed up, and I go into the courtroom. They tell me I'm not on the list, and I have to go talk to the clerk. I go talk to the clerk, and she calls an officer over, and they take me downstairs and put me in a holding cell for 2.5 hours, and then publish it in the paper, like in the police record or recorder or whatever the fuck it's called, that they like publish out to the public, that they like arrested me on a warrant, and like patted themselves on the back real quick there for an arrest, that they had gone and found me at their own police department. And like it literally had their address in the report. Like we found them on a warrant at our address. And yeah, I sat there in a holding cell for 2.5 hours before I was able to go back up, pay my fine, and get it taken care of. It was a fucking like headlight ticket that I had just not paid. But the person, one of my closest mentors for multiple years, like all of like junior high, most of senior high, we taught at our Wednesday night church group together for a while. I taught his kids when they moved on into the next class, and it was like really close with this guy. Was there, like saw me in the holding cell. I explained to him the situation, and there was nothing that he could do to help, and nothing that he would do to help. And I just still sat there for another hour after I talked to him, and I was like, if that's what this system does to people, like people that I love and respect and would die for, that they are just that shitty to people when they have the uniform on. I understand why people say all cops are bastards.
Yeah. I have a very, excuse me. I have a very bitter relationship with the police force, which is something that or law enforcement, which is something I'm actually trying to work on myself for mental health reasons and for my own spirit. I'm trying to get past that. I'm trying to view each individual law enforcement agent as a person and not a collective. So I try my best to stay away from ACAB. But I have a very destructive history in relationship with police. I won't give you all of the stories, but I've got several I've talked about on Clubhouse that are probably drastically more brutal than the vast majority of people that have walked this earth. And so I struggle. I'm trying to be a better human being, mentally sound, spiritually sound when it comes to people of any demographic. It doesn't matter. My whole mindset is I want to get away from any sort of collectivism at all and view each individual human as a human, whether they put on that ridiculous costume and act like dicks. Nope. If you act like a dick, you're out. You're out. And I had one this morning, and yeah, I corrected him pretty quickly. And he put his head down and he walked away. I was very, of course, I wasn't under arrest or anything like that. It was just I take care of some apartment complexes, and I park my truck in the same place each time I make my cycle through certain complexes, and I park my truck there that time. He, just so happened that he decided to back out of his garage, and my truck was in the way. He acted like an asshole, and so I told him, "Don't get an attitude with me. I just told you I was moving the truck. Don't be a dick." And he put his head down and he walked off. Then he went to the manager's office to tell the manager of the apartment complex what I just said. And so I immediately jumped in the truck. I took the gun out of my waist that I illegally intentionally illegally conceal carry with. I put it in the truck and I ran into the office so that I could be there while he tried to rat me out. And then he did not, because these little assholes don't want that sort of confrontation. They just trip on these powers. And yeah, I'll stop there because, again, I'm working on me. Me.
That's good.
I've got far worse stories than that, but that happened this morning. That's a real story. That happened on Clubhouse. I was on Clubhouse when that happened. So everybody got to watch it live. And I am sorry that y'all heard me talk to that dude that way, but I am not.
There you go. Yeah, I had a fun little moment over the weekend, and it wasn't even real cops. It was the fucking casino security guards at the Michigan convention. But they had all their buttons and pins and badges. They were really trying to look as much like cops as they possibly could. But me and my girlfriend were on our way out, and she had a bottle of Fireball that we were told, we knew before we went on this little adventure to try to find car keys. We knew that we couldn't bring that alcohol onto the casino floor because we passed somebody in the hall that told us that, but it was fine on the hotel side. So that was completely okay. We were not going to get in trouble for that. So we left the bottle actually with Karen Ann Harlows, who was sitting in the lobby. We were like, hey, you can hold on to that. Left our bags there too, and went into the casino, and we had like 5 of the security guards like swarm us to yell at us for bringing alcohol onto the casino floor. And they were like, well, we were told you had a liter of Fireball. And we're just like, I was just like, open my jacket, and she opens her purse, which is like fucking this big, not big enough to, even if it was completely empty of everything else, the Fireball could not have fit in there. I was just like, we got nothing on us. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, bro. And I just like turned around and kept walking.
That's the correct response.
Just fuck off. Like, and I was like, I was coming up on a mushroom trip, and I was like already kind of feeling myself. And that was like the coolest power trip. I was like, I grabbed her hand, and I was like, I feel so cool right now.
Yeah, sometimes you got to handle these people like that, but that's awesome. Yeah, that's a great story, by the way. Thank you. Yeah, you dropped all your crap off in the lobby with Karen Ann, and then just bounced at the casino, and they tried to storm you, and you're like, "What are you talking about? I got nothing."
Yeah, I got shit.
And they were absolute assholes to you and your girlfriend or your Caitlin, and you made them look stupid, and I love that. Sorry.
Yeah. And the funniest part is we were headed to the security desk. Like, we were literally going to talk to them. Like, we wouldn't, like, that was our only reasoning for entering the casino floor, because we were on our way to the security desk to check the lost and found. So, like, we literally had to, like, walk away from this mob of security guards to the security desk to talk to other security guards. And they kind of, like, meandered over and, like, followed us and kind of, like, stood around while we were talking to them. And I was like, it was such a weird thing, because I was, like, asking cops for help while just like being all anarchist badass and like telling these other cops to piss off. And then 2 of them literally like followed us and like walked us back out of the casino floor. And while we were walking, this like drunk dude standing at the bar was like, yeah, get him out of here. So it's like no idea what was going on. I just laughed. I was like, because I would have done the same shit if I was as drunk as he was.
He was probably just shit posting in real time.
Yeah, right. I dig it. I'm a fan of the shit posting, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, what made you want to dive into the wonderful world of podcasting?
That's probably a hilarious story, and I'm going to get made fun of for this, but I'm going to tell it anyway because it's good quality content and it's honest. And so I like being honest. I'm a strong proponent of being transparent and honest. So my wife and I got married in 2015. And then in 2016, before that, we moved to Louisiana. But 2016 was the Trump-Hillary thing. And I'm just looking like, let me just backtrack. I'm going to give a tiny backtrack here, backstory. AMA hit, ACA or Obamacare.
The Affordable Care.
Am I low? Is my volume low?
No, you're good.
Okay. Yeah, ACA, Affordable Health Care Act. It hit, and I was making $10 an hour. My wife was making minimum wage. We just had a brand new baby, so we are the people that's supposed to help, and we got absolutely crushed in taxes because they started taking all of our refund. You know, we couldn't afford healthcare taxes, and we had to file that paperwork because the IRS holds a gun to your head immorally in the worst possible way to extort money from you. And so we had to fill that information out, told them we didn't have healthcare, blah, blah, blah. They took our taxes for like 4 years. I was freaking livid. And then we get to the Trump-Hillary thing, and I'm like, both of these are terrible. Is this where we're at? Like, I've been out of politics for 20 years. I come back because you done pissed me off, and this is it. This is what I have. These two. This can't be the end result here. I need something else. And so then we got into libertarianism, and I stayed pretty quiet for a while, just kind of feeling out the Libertarian Party, understanding what was going on to a certain degree, and thank God that the mandate was lifted. was not lifted when it should have been, and the whole thing should have been repealed, in my personal opinion. And we're still not there. But
Here.
here that's where we're at. And so I got super pissed off, and then I calmed down. I got back into politics because I got mad. And then last year during 2020, I live in Mississippi. Okay, I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I live in Jackson, Mississippi. COVID hit, and the government decided they were going to just absolutely put full throttle on authoritarianism and tyranny, especially in your state, David.
Yep.
I try not to hate people. Because I love people, and I understand that they make bad decisions, and sometimes not intentionally, but
You're allowed to hate Andrew Cuomo.
Okay, I want to punch him in the throat like many times. I hate that dude. I hate him.
I would say punch him in the dick, but I don't know that he has one.
Me either. Whitmer's another one, and then Gruesome Newsom is another one. Them three really stood out to me. I know that New Mexico's governor was god awful too, and so I was livid. We were locked in for like 2 weeks. I still went to the gas station because I didn't really need anything. I'm just anti-authoritarian by nature. I'm a rebel, and so I'm like, all right, you're not gonna tell me what to do. I'll go to the gas station and buy an energy drink, and we'll find something. I don't even drink energy drinks. I'll just go buy something just because you're telling me I can't leave. So I still kept going, but I played by the rules a little bit for about 2 weeks, and then we were pretty much wide open from there. But what I watched happen around the country freaking pissed me off to like a nth degree. I was so mad. I was boiling. I was ready to go just fly across the country with no money, protest in every single state, get arrested everywhere. I was brutally mad. And so I started doing what I could. And what I could do at that moment, I can't do much in New York or Michigan or California or New Mexico from Mississippi. But what I could do is post crap online and hope it would get shared. And so I started sharing stuff, and then Facebook started locking me down. And so I said, all right, I need an alt account. I need to not be harassed by big tech or in some way. If I get locked out again, I need to be able to post because a lot of people are listening to what I'm saying. I started posting under my personal account, Noel, and things were like getting more than anything I've ever done before. And I'm like, holy crap, this is amazing, right? During the George Jorgensen campaign.
Right.
Yeah, and so then I got locked out, shut down, put in Zuckerberg jail, whatever you want to call it. So I created the alt account Cajun Libertarian so I could meme dump and have another outlet to try to do something, anything. Because again, we weren't suffering here in Mississippi. There's a lot of companies that did for that short time, but I wasn't, and I was still very pissed off. And the Cajun Libertarian brand just like freaking blew up out of nowhere. I was never expecting that at all. I was literally just an angry person who wanted to just dump all over the government as much as I could because I already hated them in the first place. And now you've really, really made me angry. And so that's just part of my character. If you make me angry, I'm going to get very passionate about it. I'm not submissive. I'm not passive. I'm just right there. And I started just making memes and dumping them. And the Cajun Libertarian brand, like the profile, this is a personal profile, still is. I still got 4-point-something thousand friends. And I still post on it. But I've got the page now as well. And so I did this one thing, this one live video with a guy, and we were just kind of talking about libertarianism and what we thought, some stuff that we can meet on in the middle with a lot of people. Like, how can we just agree on these few things, and then we can move forward and have the rest of the discussions of the broad umbrella that is libertarianism. And there's a bunch of people in the comments. I'm like, what is going on? Why are y'all even watching this? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm sitting there. I was literally sitting on an ice chest with a flipped upside down coffee table and my cell phone. And I'm like, what are y'all doing? And they're like, oh my God, are you please going to keep talking? I'm like, I wasn't even trying to do this. I was like, all right, we'll try something. And I did another interview the next week. And again, I bought a ring light off of Amazon because I was looking terrible with the iPhone 5 shading, or iPhone 6. I'm sorry. Truth be told, I have an iPhone 7 now. Sorry. I'm just not that caught up. I'm a poor. But at that point, I had an iPhone 6. And the sound quality, video quality was absolutely god awful. I was like, let me try something. I'll buy a cheap ring light from Amazon. And I'm sitting on an ice chest with an upside down coffee table with another ice chest just so I could rest my elbows on something, and give my back a break because I'm sitting with nothing behind me. That's the reason why they had that set up. And I did one interview, and then the very next interview I had, oh my God, I'm losing my mind here. I had Bobo Sims on the very first one. And then I had Princess Rivulet on the second one. And then at that point, I just put some money together. We started getting our tax and stimmy money in. And then I bought a little bit of a better setup where I had like a stool and a ring light and a cell phone. So I was still doing the same thing. And I had Eskimo Libertarian on, and it just blew up from there. So the funny thing about the podcast situation is and this is where y'all are going to make fun of me, and that's okay. I didn't know what a podcast was, even though I was actively doing one. I had heard the term podcast. Yeah, I know. It is what it is. This is my life. I heard the term podcast. I had no idea what a podcast was. And for you, if anybody's questioning this, you can go back and comb through those videos, like the first 3 or 4, and you're going to hear me say, I'm not sure what I'm doing here. It's a show, a podcast, an interview. I'm not sure what any of this is, but here we are, and let's keep going. I didn't have a name. I was just calling myself the Cajun Libertarian. I said, I don't have a name for the show. I don't even know what this is. It's a show. It's a podcast. It's a video. I don't know. A program, but we're going to keep talking to these people because it's very valuable to me. And now we're here, which is very odd because I probably still don't know what a podcast is. And now I host one like freaking 50 times a week. And so that's the story behind the podcast.
I love it. It's great when people, you can tell when someone is trying to be like famous through what they're doing, and then when someone came up just naturally, like accidentally, and you definitely give off that vibe of wait, what's going on here? Why am I famous? Why do people know my name? This isn't supposed to be happening. And it's so much more genuine, and I think people prefer content from those kinds of people.
I agree. I think that's probably the biggest sell, if that's the right word. In this whole brand, the Cajun Libertarian brand has been very organic. It's been very genuine. I care very deeply about what it is that we do, and it just seemed to click. It seemed to work. I know a lot of people like the name. Again, I didn't pick the name out of any intentionality. I just I'm half Cajun, half Spanish, and I'm a libertarian. And an Eskimo can tell you this too, because I was like, let's just do the Cajun Eskimo show. I don't want to even think about any other names because I don't want to overthink crap. If I start overthinking it, then I'll be trying to make it the most amazing, freaking illustrious BS in the world. And so everybody's like, well, how'd you come up with the Cajun Libertarian? That's how. Because if I give it more than 15 seconds of thought, I'm going to try to create this novel like the Jack Casey, RoyalGreen.com terrible series. Do not buy that from Amazon.com. No. Sorry, that's not supposed to do. This is not my show. But that's how I came with the name. It was like I'm Cajun and I'm libertarian, and let's just land with that because if I keep going with it, we'll just it'll spiral out of control. So everything's very simple, everything's very organic, everything's very genuine, and I've got the opportunity in the stage. For whatever reason, and I tell people on my show all the time, I feel like this is an elected position because there's a lot of people that do all the right things on the internet and it doesn't work for them. And I don't know what to say. It worked for me. And so I'm not going to take it lightly. I say that all the time, but I know this is hopefully a brand new audience. And I mean that wholeheartedly. I don't take any of this lightly. This is very important to me. I have 3 children. And when I saw the writing on the wall of what was happening in the summer of 2020 due to these tyrants, which was already spiraling out of control in my life personally. Mm-hmm. And I saw it absolutely escalate the second they thought they could power grab. They went full throttle, and you can't do that with us. You can't. We're very rebellious people, and I care very much. I call everyone in America my American brothers and sisters. If you've immigrated here legally or you've just crossed that imaginary border and you're fortunate to be here, then hallelujah, praise God. I'm glad you're here. We could
Unless you're from Ohio.
Okay.
Then you're not.
We'll ask Ohio. Well, I shit on Ohio all the time, so it's pretty funny. Yeah.
It's the best state to shit on. It's just a terrible state.
I don't know. I mean, you got a terrible, prominent football team. I'll say that, because as you can see, right. Nope. Yep. Go Tigers.
There you go.
Anyway,
there you
there's
go.
that. Yeah, I'm very passionate. I'm very genuine, and I think that resonates with a lot of people. Yeah,
for sure. I think Eskimo does a good job of capturing a lot of that too. She's another one where, she doesn't seem like she's trying to be someone. She's just trying to help people and put out content and platform people and inform people of what's going on.
100%.
She teaches me shit every single day that we're in a clubhouse room together. I'm like, wait, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, it's pretty.
And again,
crazy.
I consider myself a history buff, and she's teaching me about history, and I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah. She's an extremely brilliant person. Eskimo Libertarian, Cajun Eskimo Show, quick plug, Muddy Waters Media. But yeah, Eskimo Libertarian is quite brilliant. She is a chemical engineer. She does vast amounts of research, like a ridiculous amount of it. And she makes fun of me and Ashley's in the comments now. She's a huge teammate of mine, her and Carly Rose, and my wife is there as well. But they can tell you Eskimo does this. You should see, we share a Google Drive, right? Because we co-host the show. And so she has this Google Drive that she created and she shares with me, and she'll have this like amazing amount of notes, detailed court cases, precedents, citing law, and it's just incredible. And I'm looking at it like I'm not even going to try. I'm not going to try to compete with that. No, I'll just wing it because that's what I do anyway. And so that's kind of like our, back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing what Eskimo goes through to flesh out the law and the historical accuracy of what goes, especially in Alaska, big time in Alaska. But it is quite amazing.
I love how she says it, that she's the brains of the show and you're the beard.
That's accurate.
Right.
Yeah, that's accurate. I'm not.
So,
go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna shoot off to another topic. So finish your thought.
No, I was just gonna say that's accurate. It's not that I'm an unintelligent person. It's just that she does this vast amounts of research, and I'm more of a just give me a couple of topics, and then I would just run with it to the best of my knowledge. And it plays. The two of us play really well together, and it works out very much so on the podcast. She's extraordinarily educational. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So speaking of her and Ashley and Carly and everything, you've been able to establish a really fantastic social media presence and graphics and been keeping up with video editing and everything, putting out really professional content. And I know that has a lot to do with the team that you have behind you. So I want to talk a little bit about how you were able to find your team and then how you're able to keep them so on point and reliable as volunteers, because that's something that a lot of us in the movement struggle with.
That's a very special question. So, and again, I'm not lying, not even to any sort of degree. You can go back through all of my posts, which y'all won't because there's so many of them. But I shout out to my team often, all the time. I would not be here if it wasn't for my wife first, because again, we have a house of kids. 2 of them are under 5. So there's no way you'd ever know who I was at all if it wasn't for my wife first. And then my team second. Again, you wouldn't know who I was at all if it was not for my team. I just happened to be this black bearded Cajun that gets to sit in front of the microphone and crack jokes and do the best that I can to push the liberty movement. And that's awesome. I don't take it for granted. I love every second of it. But the fact of it is that I've got people like Carly Rose that when I started my page 3-4 months ago, it now it's closing on 10,000 followers and 9,000 likes. A lot of that's due to the fact that Carly Rose will go through my notifications and she will literally Go through every like and every comment and every share and invite every one of those people. That's an amazing situation. Carly knows me from prior to Cajun Libertarian. And so she knew me from other groups of liberty in the Facebook arena. And, well, yeah, just the Facebook arena, because I didn't even have Twitter. I just got Twitter and Instagram set up a couple of months ago. But so then you have Ashley, who's in here now. She set up my entire website. She set up all of my merchandise. All I was doing was hitting the approve button. And then Carly's boyfriend, Brian, handles almost 100% of my MeWe account. He posts there every day. He handles all of that. And I think number one, I really only have one answer to that question when it comes to how do I keep my team of volunteers at such a high level and appropriately engaged, is that they too see the genuine and the authenticity. And most of it, to be honest with you, is me asking them, what do we need to do here? And then Caitlin just jumped in on the team and she's like, do this, do that, do this. And we're all like, F yes, we're doing it right now. So a lot of it comes down to being what I would consider the correct leader. And what I mean by the correct leader is I asked them what we should do because I do feel like they're smarter than me. Not necessarily smarter in some senses, but Carly knows how to work the algorithms in Facebook. Ashley runs several businesses on her own. They're vastly more knowledgeable in this arena than I am. So I asked them, like, you tell me, what should we do here? And if we can't deduce to the correct answer, we're going to go find somebody who's going to give us the counsel. And then we're going to say yes. I rarely ever tell my team no because I trust them. And I think if you're asking honestly, how do I keep such a phenomenal volunteer team so engaged and active on an hour-to-hour basis? You should see our freaking group chat. It's ridiculous. It's all the time. Ridiculous in a good way. We're always talking, always communicating. And that's because of good leadership on my end. And that good leadership is defined by you tell me what we should do. And then let's do that. I just set certain parameters. I'm a Christian. I'm a family man. So I don't want like the word F-U-C-K in my post. I don't want nudity in my stuff. And that's not for everybody. Post your goofy graphic stuff. I don't care about that. But if my face is on the profile picture, then there's a couple of standards that I wish to maintain. And I don't want a bunch of cussing, and I don't want any nudity at all. I don't want women sexualized. I don't want men sexualized. So I set a few standards. That's really it. Other than that, it's, hey, what do you think? I will, my memes that I make 8 out of 10 times, I send them to the group. Like, what do y'all think? Is this good enough? And they're like, yes. I'm like, I don't think it's good enough. They're like, it's freaking great. Post it. I'm like, all right, I'm going to post it. Like, pretty much my team tells me what to do. I just sit here.
Great.
I hit the approve button. That's it.
I love it. And if you guys are sick of that and you want to follow someone without standards, then give me a follow, because I cuss all the time and sexualize everybody. So it's cool.
Yeah, to each your own. Yeah,
right.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean you're touching on a really key point there, though. A big part of success is knowing when to ask for help. And I've talked to a couple of people on your team. I actually talked to Noel a little bit today about that we were going to do the show, and that this is what I wanted to talk about. And that's something that I heard from everybody else, was just that you know when to ask for help, and people are willing to give it. Yeah. Because you're a great guy and people see that. And so, when you ask for help, people are willing to do it. And I think a lot of people, my background is in sales. And so we try to just grind into people, not to assume the no. And I think that's something that, unless you're in sales and you've had that beat into your head, and even me, who's been in sales for a long time and had that beat into my head, I still suck at it, where it's just like, oh no, they won't help me. They're too busy. Oh no, they do this professionally. They wouldn't want to do this for free and just help me out real quick. But in reality, like a lot of people in the liberty movement, especially if they're good at the thing and they like the thing, are going to be willing to put a couple of hours a week into helping somebody that they care about and that they want to see succeed. And so if you've built a relationship with someone and you think that, that they care about you and your mission, ask them for some help. If they're a CPA professionally and you're about to run for office, you need some help with your treasurer stuff, like ask them. They're better than the person. That person is going to do the job better than the person that you think is going to say yes. Also, is something else I'll add here, because like you get the pros, get the people that know what the fuck they're talking about. Ask them, and then we can all actually run a professional enough shop where we can start paying our pros.
Yeah. Yep. No question. And we're working towards that every day. I had that discussion today. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, just had a discussion today. Like once we get done with the fundraising for the Mississippi LP and the 501c3 that I used to work for, and I graduated from a drug and alcohol rehabilitation center and then went to work for them. And a lot of our funds from the Tunica event are going to help that organization out. Mercy House Team Challenge in Jackson, Mississippi. Oh, man, I know that mode. It's like repetitive, right? You know how it is. And so we're almost done with that. As soon as we get done with that, before we have our next libertarian movement or liberty movement and helping out another organization, my plans for all the sales is to start paying my team. It's not going to be much, it's, $20, $50 a week, a month probably, but I want to give them that money. We just had that today. So everything that we are able to raise after the Tunica event is going to go towards the team. And they're exceptional. And I think you hit that just right. Know when to ask for help. Know who to ask for help. That's a big deal. I started with one, my wife, and then I started with two, Carly Rose, and then we brought Ashley on board. Kenneth Fitzlaff, I need to give him a huge shout out too. Big deal. Yeah, he's got some things. Indiana's doing big things. And so he's wrapped up in that right now. But Kenneth Fitzlaff, I needed to give him a shout out too. I'm sorry. But he's been a huge, absolutely huge player in the Cajun Libertarian brand.
Yeah. And actually, I just had a conversation day before yesterday with Lauren Potzler from People for Liberty. And we're having a similar conversation about how much we hate the volunteer culture in the LP and how much we want people to get paid and how much just better a culture is if we're able to actually reward people for their work tangibly. And I'm really excited because the movement is going in a way where, at this point, I actually have a couple dozen close friends who are full-time paying bills through the movement. And that's a thing that didn't exist when I joined. When I joined the party, everyone I knew was a volunteer. We were all just kind of it was a hobby for half of the people that I knew in the party. And part of that is a difference in perception for me because I'm, a little bit deeper into the movement and I know some more serious people that are doing this more seriously now than when I joined. But also there's just a lot more opportunities and, hopefully also trying to be able to start paying my team here pretty soon and having people help me with graphics and stuff like that more consistently because I fucking suck at graphics, dude.
Yeah, I'm good at the graphics when it comes to promos. And then if I didn't mess up another shout out, so I got to give that one. So when you watch the intro video that I play for my show, that was done by Tony Moan. And know Tony Moan. He's FSA. Yeah. Yes. Tony Moan, exceptional human being. I love him so much. And he created my intro video. And he's going to be re-editing that intro video here in the next couple of weeks to just put some new interviews in there. Do the same song, same kind of background, stuff like that. Nothing real, just changing it up a little bit. Maybe put Spike in there, Larry Sharp, Donald Rainwater, Hannah Cox, and Libertarian Redhead. You had Isabella Rowley in yours. I had an Isabella Rowley on the show as well.
She's great.
Yeah, fantastic. Very smart. But yeah, Tony Moan, big shout out. Big shout out.
Hell yeah. Yeah, there are some really fucking talented people in this party and in this movement. Right. I even, people that have been following me for any amount of time can tell that like this piece of the logo is a lot different. It used to be like just this really shitty, ugly, like how like it was just like kind of a U, and where the flame was just white, and it was boring as shit. And even just that, I had my friend Arizona help me out with, and I just sent him like, can you make this look cool? And he did, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I felt like it was like buying like a brand new pair of shoes or whatever. It's just like a whole new makeover, just because this one little corner of my promos are so much better.
It matters,
right? And the more we do that, and the more professional we get as a movement, the more we can market accurately and actually compete with the propaganda that we were talking about earlier.
Absolutely. And what I would say is, if you're looking at starting a show or a podcast, obviously David's been doing his a long time, way longer than mine. He's way better at this than I am. But if you're looking at just trying to get into the business and put your feet in the water, copy somebody you like. I stole some ideas from, I stole a lot of ideas from Brian Nichols. We Are Libertarians podcast. I stole a ton of ideas from Muddied Waters Media with Matt Wright, the writer's block, and Spike Cohen, who doesn't need to be. I meant Spike Cohen. The other guy with the blue check is irrelevant. So I love him very much. We shit on each other a lot because it's
great.
just our relationship. Freaking phenomenal. I am so proud to have Spike at the head. I feel like he's at the head of our movement, and I wouldn't want anybody else. That dude is brilliant. I could probably never get on his level, and I'm just super proud to be associated with that dude. But if you're looking at starting and formatting any sort of show or podcast like this, copy somebody that you like. Steal some stuff from them. I'll be dead honest with you. I stole a couple of ideas for my solo show when I don't have guests on from freaking Matt Walsh, who I had to shut off. I couldn't listen to him anymore. Right? There was a couple of like pieces of it, like the format of his show. I'm like, damn, I really like that.
Yeah.
I really like that. And so I stole that, but it got to a point to where I couldn't listen to a show anymore because it was just not good for my mental health. And I'd struggle with some high functioning anxiety, and haven't had any panic attacks in a long time. But so when I find something infiltrating the wrong part of my soul for too long, I just got to step away. And as much as I enjoy some of the pieces and the way that Matt Walsh sets his show up, I can't. Obviously, I don't think I need to go into the reason why. I can't listen to him anymore because I'll be screaming in the truck. Like, anyway, yeah.
No, I'll definitely echo that. When I started the show, so originally I was doing solo shows, and so I pieced what I wanted that to be kind of like was a mixture of like the Daily Show with Trevor Noah and the Patriot Act with Hassan Minhaj, which both of those are people like that I very often disagree with on quite many things. But the way that Hassan did like deep dives into 45-minute episodes into one topic, and it wasn't kind of this like current events like hot button issue kind of bullshit that most shows similar to what we do are. So I liked that, and I liked the graphics and how engaging it was. I thought that I could copy that at least a little bit without having any video editing skills at all. And so if you go back to some of my old episodes, the graphics are horrible, but the info is good. I'm still pretty proud of some of my first episodes, because I used to do like deep dives into legislation. So I would like read the 15-page bill and like like piece it all out and then just like explain it in layman's terms for people so they actually understood like what's getting voted on in Washington this week, because it's not what you think it is. And so but as far as like the interview stuff goes, which I've been doing now, just interviews for a little over a year, it's I've watched a lot of Joe Rogan, and actually I watch a lot of like just late night shows like Craig Ferguson is one of my favorite hosts. Like, he just has a way of engaging with people and making the mood change and just kind of having that just like rock in a conversation and like never letting it really get awkward, even when it gets really, really, really awkward. I'm just a big fan of that. And so I could definitely echo it. Yeah. Find some people that you like and try to copy some of it and piece together a couple different shows and then find like the couple of things that you add that no one else does.
Absolutely. And not everybody's going to want to show. So I would say this, there are some great models for whatever it is that our particular comfort zone and our particular talents and gifts and shtick is. I don't like to use that word, but sometimes you need that. Yeah, John Oliver has a great setup.
Yeah, he's obnoxious, but yeah, it was another person that I've grabbed a lot from.
Good construct. I will encourage everybody, if you hate or just have great disdain for the messaging, try to bear with it and ignore some of that, because that's what I had to do to listen. And again, John Oliver, rarely agree. Trevor Noah's in the same category with Matt Walsh for me. I can't do Trevor Noah. Same thing. Trevor Noah and Matt Walsh are essentially the same thing to me. It's so destructive to because the lies. Oh my God, I just can't do it. Anyway, again, going back to structuring and formatting and constructing what it is that you want to do as an activist in the liberty movement. You don't have to be involved. I'm not talking to you, David. You know that, but the people watching, find your niche, find your skill, find your talent, find your job, find your passion.
Yep.
And then go find somebody who does it better than you. And then you just start to steal from them. And as you open that up, you'll see a lot of people like, oh my God, I might can't stand 90% of what that person does. But there's a 5 to 10% of something that they do subjectively. And I'm like, oh, yep, I got him. It's a copycat league, people. It's politics.
100%. And yeah, like you say, this goes for every piece of activism, because there are people out there being successful at what we're trying to do. You know, there are successful activists, there are successful protests, there are successful legislative pushes, there are successful shows like John Oliver. You know, he's getting watched by millions of people. So clearly they're doing something that people like. So and that work. You know, love them or hate them, the DSA has accomplished things politically in America over the last decade, because they've been working for a decade, which is something not a lot of people understand. Like, they didn't just pop up out of nowhere in 2016. They put in some fucking work, and it worked. And they're doing some stuff. So there's nothing wrong with looking at the people you hate and saying, I need to copy 80% of that, because that's what's working, and just change the part where they're being authoritarian pricks and misinforming people and pushing propaganda and dividing the country and making the world a living hell. Let's change that little 10% of what they're doing into libertarianism.
Amen. And hey, women, look, sorry. I will say this too, like, that little piece of information that David's talking about right there, that we're talking about, is so crucial in our everyday interactions, specifically online, but with other people. Because when we can look at people that we cannot politically align with or philosophically get on board with, and we can say, you know what, I may probably hate the vast majority of what it is that you say, but there's some things that I like about how you do what you do. Then you begin to humanize people again. And we begin to look at people on the internet and in our daily lives and say, I'm going to listen to what you have to say, because I may not agree with a bunch of what you say, but there's probably a space where we can come together on. And I'm going to actively work for that space, as opposed to finding every reason not to.
Amen. Amen. And amen. And, and a great example of that is when I'm in New York City specifically, I have more connections in New York City, even though I haven't been there very much at all over the last year and a half. When I'm there in the political arena, or even when I was in New Hampshire during the Democratic primary, the fact that we have similar passions, even though we're on complete other ends of everything, I've had some really fucking awesome conversations with like Joe Biden staffers, like at a bar in New Hampshire, like during the primary, just like we happened to meet up. They have a pin on their shirt. I had a Tulsi pin on. They're like, "Oh, hey, you're here for the primary? Where are you from?" I'm like, "New York." They're from like, North Carolina or some shit, because no one in New Hampshire is from New Hampshire during primary season. The population of the state of New Hampshire triples every 4 years. It's ridiculous. And it really does. Like, it's crazy. Like, every hotel sells out for like a month and a half straight. It's rough. But yeah, I mean, we're just able to talk about like, I was just opening up a phone bank for Tulsi, and so we had a great like probably half an hour conversation about like what systems we use, and nothing that would be considered breaking our NDAs. We were pretty careful, and we were also like really chill about the fact that we had all signed NDAs. And it's like, you ask a question kind of hesitantly. It's like, "Can I ask this?" And they're like, "Well, I'll tell you half the answer, because I can't tell you the other half." And it's great. And even though, technically we're political enemies, or even like in the grand scheme of things, I might actually see them as a legitimate enemy. They might have been like fully entrenched into the establishment. They're a full, like, they're not just a pawn, they're a bishop or whatever. But we can still have a conversation about like whether or not yard signs are actually viable political strategy anymore. They are, for the record, in my opinion. Like, I still think they matter.
Do people don't?
I've been in that argument a lot over the last couple of years, because there's a lot of people that, the amount of money that you spend like giving out yard signs, if you transition that into social media, you're talking like millions of people reached with thousands of dollars worth of like Facebook and Twitter ads. There's an argument to be made, but I'm still a very firm, like, staunch supporter of old school politics being still a big part of our campaigns, because boomers still vote like no one believes. They're still out there. They care about yard signs. Yeah,
it's changing fast. It's changing, but the fact of the matter is, boomers still vote more than we do.
They do. And so, not a lot of them are on social media now. So there's that. But on the other hand, I heard it a lot, and a accurate critique is that it didn't necessarily transition into votes. But something that I heard a lot when I was in New Hampshire was that people saw Tulsi as a real candidate over a lot of the other people who, when you saw the vote totals, were more real candidates, like maybe Klobuchar or Buttigieg, because our signs were fucking everywhere. We had thousands of signs in New Hampshire. We did the math. Like, we had them plotted out on maps. Like, we knew where all of our signs were, all of our yard signs, all of our awesome. Like, we had like big like wooden stakes. You can't even see my hands. We had like gigantic like banner signs that we had in people's yards, and we knew where they all were, and we kept track. We had thousands across the state, and we were also really good at like checking to see where other people's signs were, and we had like 10 times as many signs as anybody else. And I heard that at events. It's like, I wasn't sure about her because I wasn't hearing about her online, but I drive around my neighborhood and I see her signs everywhere, so I had to come hear what she has to say. And then no one met Tulsi and didn't vote for her.
Yeah,
that I know of.
Tulsi made a massive splash. There's some things that we could disagree on. A couple of them that she's just a little bit too far authoritarian on for. But at the end of the day, Tulsi made a splash. She absolutely embarrassed the vice president, the current vice president. It's just. Anyway, I won't go into all that because, oh my God, I'm a Tulsi fan. Of course, there's a lot of policies I won't vote for her for, but overall, I'm a Tulsi fan.
Yeah, she's great, and she's again one of those people that you can tell wasn't asking for it and didn't want. She doesn't want to be president, but she looked at the other people that were vying for it, and not a single one of those people deserved to have their hands on the nuclear football, and she understood that more than anyone else, and felt called. Like I had a couple of conversations with her, and you know, she would never have like said it outright because you know she's running to be the president,
Right.
but you know you can just tell that this was something that she felt was her duty and her life mission, not like what was going to make her famous or like get her a book deal someday.
Agreed. I think Tulsi's. I honestly think that Tulsi's one of those fan favorites, and I think that's why she's very genuine. She's very authentic. She had no problems with calling out the Democrat Party, even though she was a part of it and pretty much exiled now, if not already exiled. She'll never be a part of the Republican Party. She'll probably never be a part of the Libertarian Party, but she was strong in her beliefs, and she stood on what she stood on the ground that she fought for, and I commend her for that. I respect her. I think she's great, and I think that if you and I would like to sit down and have, you know, several weeks or months worth of conversations about policy and law, we could probably sway in the right direction.
Oh yeah, she's getting there, and she keeps getting closer. I mean, I saw her move a decent amount on policy just while we were in New Hampshire. You know, she was a little bit of a gun grabber when I joined her campaign, and now she's not.
Nice.
I got her. I mean, she's not quite like recreational rocket launchers like I am, but you know, she's better than she was.
That's improvement.
Right. So before we wrap up, I want to give you a chance to tell everybody how they can find you, how they can help you, where and when your show is, both yours and Cajun Eskimo. Give all the shout outs. Go for it.
Thank you. Thank you, David. I appreciate you having me on here. It's been freaking awesome. I loved every second. I didn't think for a second that it wouldn't be awesome. I knew that we would have a bunch of fun just because we talk all the time. So for anybody that's watching that doesn't know, you can find me on Facebook. I have a profile. You can follow that. I have a page that you can follow that really all of my content's on. The profile is just for promos and boring stuff. But the page is outstanding. It's clicking on all cylinders. The Cajun Libertarian on Facebook. You can also follow me on Twitter, the Cajun Libertarian. You can follow me on Instagram, the Cajun Libertarian. Look, honestly, if you just Google Cajun and then type in L, then you'll find me everywhere. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. But for some reason, Cajun Libertarian, I'm the only Cajun Libertarian in the world. So you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, MeWe, Facebook, and then most importantly, I have the website now because we all know today Facebook is on some new shit for real. And
oh hell yeah!
I don't know how we're gonna handle that. I have still not got that notification, which means I'm probably the guy that they're talking about. I haven't received that notification, so there's a high chance that I could be just closed out everywhere. YouTube, the Cajun Libertarian. But if all else fails, CajunLibertarian.com is now the main site because big tech can't mess with my website, CajunLibertarian.com. Everywhere else is Cajun Libertarian or the Cajun Libertarian. But you can get all my merchandise. You can get all my content. We're working double time over speed right now to upload all of my content onto the website because who the hell knows what's about to happen. And so Cajun and Eskimo Show is Muddied Waters Media exclusive. That's ran by Spike Cohen and Matt Wright. And really that's ran by Tasha Cohen and Superfan Sarah. But I got to give those two clowns a shout out. I love them, all of them very much. But Muddy Waters Media, Cajun Eskimo Show for right now will be at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time on all of the Muddy Waters Media platform. You can catch me on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8:30 p.m. CST. Same stuff, Facebook and YouTube. And I upload all of my content, which is actually I was working on before you and I got on, was getting all of my content onto Anchor FM, will shoot all of my content out to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and basically anywhere that you can catch your podcast. And so that's another great resource that probably won't get shut down. My Anchor account is taking off pretty big time. I'm just floored at the whole situation. And so
I got a weird amount of listens from podcast. I didn't realize. Like, I hate audio only podcasts. Like, I refuse to. I don't listen to them. I never have, never will. It's really annoying. I have a couple of people that I really like that have audio only podcasts, like Lines of Liberty. Only, like, the only way you can listen to it for free is audio only, and it's obnoxious. I hate them. But like, apparently I'm not in the majority there, because I just finally started putting up episodes again. I'd let my audio podcast slack for quite some time. I threw up Caitlin's episode, was the first one, and I had like 75 listens within like a couple days. I went back in to keep uploading other ones, and I'm like, where the fuck did these people come from? I haven't even promoted this. I didn't even share the link anywhere. It's like, and it had more listens than the YouTube video had watches at one point in time. I was like, what?
Yeah, well, a lot of people, they can't watch a live video. I'm the person that's not paying for the subscription to YouTube. So if you close out the YouTube, it shuts it out on me because I'm not going to pay them. Sorry, I'm not. Facebook live videos, same thing. If you close out the app, you can't watch them. And a lot of people, because, you like myself, we have an international, national reach. And there's a lot of different time zones. People can't watch at the same time. And so I have had several people reach out to me like, hey, dude, get it like legit podcast set up, because I'd like to be able to listen at work while I'm driving down the road, and I won't have to close the app out. And that's what they're enjoying, is the fact that they can just put it on the Bluetooth, close their phone, throw the phone over on the side, and just listen to the podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that people are enjoying the content that we're putting out, because I'm having fun putting it out. I don't know about you, but this is a blast.
It is a blast. Yeah, we are very fortunate. I'm sure you know as well as I do. The teams do a lot of the legwork, if not all of it, and you and I just get to sit here and look pretty on camera as best as we can look pretty.
Right. The lighting would stop like making me look pink. I'm not sure what's up with my ring light here.
Dude, I look orange all the time, and I'm very, very brown. So I don't know what's going on. It's weird. So I gave up on it. It's whatever. I'm very, very dark human being. I have Spanish, and so it's whatever. I just gave up on it. I'm orange. I
feel it.
Look, at this time, I'm just the orange man bad, right? I mean, you've seen all of the networks. You've seen all of the people. All of them. They love to hate on me, Donald J. Trump, because I'm the orange man, and it's just where we're at right now. I mean, look at all the people that come. You've seen all the people that come to my rallies. Everybody comes to my rallies. I don't know. Sorry. I don't know. My ring light makes me orange. I don't know why this.
Well, and with that, guys, thanks so much for watching. If you don't already, follow Cajun. His thing's been scrolling around the bottom. His Twitter, everything else is super easy to find because it's Cajun Libertarian. He said he's the only one. No one would want to try to question his authority as the main Cajun. So no one's fronting on that. Thanks so much for watching. Noel, thanks for coming on. This was great.
David, thank you so much, bro. I had such a fun time. And I guess we need to plug when you're coming on. It's very soon. I don't have the date. Anyway, David will be on my podcast. Yeah, I don't think it's
something like that. No, I'm very wrong about that. Sometime like mid July.
David Fite on August 2nd will be on the Cajun Libertarian Live. There we go.
There we go.
Thank you.
And also, something you forgot to pitch. You did a little bit. The Tunica event. If you guys want to help fundraise for that, the GoFundMe link is in the description for the Facebook and YouTube videos for this. And I'll also throw it in the comments for the Twitter. So go donate to that. Help them out. Get some people there. It's going to be a great time. I'm hoping to be there. I might not be though, because I'm starting it. It's shaky, but we're gonna try. So I'm looking forward to meeting you there.
Yeah, same. If we can do we're gonna do the Libertarian Jeopardy live on Tuesday night with Brian Lambert, Spike Co, and Matt right? A bunch of people. If we can get like a bunch of money on that night, everybody can just donate $3.50, then we'll be able to fund David Fite and Caitlin Coven to come to Tunica, Mississippi. So last pitch. I'm sorry. I want y'all to be there.
Yeah, we're gonna do our best. But guys, thanks so much for watching. We're gonna be back here next week. We've got Scott Schluter on Tuesday,
Nice.
Spike Cohen on Wednesday. It's gonna be a good time. Until then, keep up the fight.
Hey fighters, thanks for watching. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, and support The Fight by going to linktree/Fight for Liberty.